Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's City Council meeting. Certainly pleased to have such a great audience here tonight. We appreciate it. It is Tuesday, May 2nd. And first of all, we want to introduce you to your City Council.
Council members Kiley.
Here.
Neitzer.
Here.
Rolfing.
Here.
Selberg.
Present.
Starr.
Here.
Staley.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Erpenbach.
Here.
Councilors, thank you very much for being here tonight. We appreciate it. We are very pleased. We've got Dorothy Terhorst here. Dorothy is a prayer partner at the Direct Line Prayer Center. And for those of you who don't know, the Direct Line Prayer Center is right smack dab across the street from the mayor's office, from City Hall. And certainly appreciate all the blessings that we receive from you, Dorothy, and so many others. Dorothy is going to lead us with our invocation tonight. What we'd ask is that you stand for the invocation, and then please remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance. Dorothy?
I would like to pray Psalm 23 over us tonight. Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, that you are our shepherd, and we shall lack for nothing. We thank you that you make us lie down in green pastures, and you lead us beside quiet waters. You restore our soul. You guide us in paths of righteousness for your name's sake. Even though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we will fear no evil, for you are with us. Your rod and your staff, they comfort us. Thank you that you prepare a table before us in the presence of our enemies, and you anoint our head with oil. Our cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy will follow us all the days of our lives, and I will dwell along with all of the rest of us here in the house of the Lord forever. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome. It's good to have you here tonight. I have two proclamations I'd love to read. The first one, Dorothy, would you mind coming forward, and would you folks come forward too? We'd appreciate it. And Dorothy, before I read the proclamation, would you please introduce these great team of folks as well as yourself?
Okay. Iva Spooner right here, and Becky Agater, and Gloria Evans, and Terry Nyberg, and Jeannie Omland, and they're just a few of the 35 volunteers that take shifts at Direct Line Prayer Center.
Thank you. Did you want to make some comments now, Dorothy?
I did.
Please.
Thank you. You're welcome. National Day of Prayer is a day when you are invited to pray for our nation, and that begins with our city. However, that's just the beginning. We at Direct Line Prayer Center have discovered the sweetness of praying for all of you every single day. You are precious to us, and you are even more precious to God. Therefore, Direct Line has volunteers who take turns to pray every weekday from 10 in the morning until 6 in the evening. We invite you to walk in, call, email, make an appointment, and we will pray for you and for your needs. Direct Line gets calls and emails from all over the United States. They search on the web for prayer, and they find us. And I'm not telling you this to just brag about how good we are. I'm telling you this because I want to brag and boast about how great God is. If God is for us, who can be against us? For he loves you. Jesus loves you. And Jesus loves me. And when I get scared, and I'm scared to death right now, I like to sing a song. It's Jesus Loves Me. I learned it when I was 3 years old. Or if I have to make a big decision, or we're having family troubles or anything, I sing that song a lot. And I sang it probably 4 times today. But if it's okay with Mayor Huther, I'm wondering if we could sing it right now. Okay. Join me if you want.
Jesus
Loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so.
Little ones to him belong. They are weak, but he is strong. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so. My grandma Polly'd be very pleased right now. The proclamation reads, whereas the 66th observance of the National Day of Prayer will be held on Thursday, May 4th, with the theme, For Your Great Name's Sake, Hear Us, Forgive Us, Heal Us, based on Daniel 9:19. O Lord, listen. O Lord, forgive. O Lord, hear and act for your sake, O my God. Whereas the National Day of Prayer has been part of our national heritage since it was declared by the First Continental Congress in 1775 and the United States Congress in 1952, approved as a joint resolution. That the President shall set aside and proclaim a suitable day each year, other than a Sunday, as a National Day of Prayer, on which the people of the United States may turn to God in prayer and meditation at churches, in groups, and as individuals. Whereas the United States Congress in 1988 by Public Law 100-307, as amended, establishes an act to provide for setting aside the first Thursday in May as the date on which the National Day of Prayer is celebrated. Whereas leaders and citizens of our communities, cities, states, and nation are afforded the privilege of prayer with the joy of seeking divine guidance, strength, protection, and comfort from Almighty God. Whereas, recognizing the love of God, we, citizens of Sioux Falls, treasure the freedom to gather in prayer, exercising reliance on God's power in the face of present challenges and threats, asking for His blessing on every individual of our city. Now, therefore, I, Mike Huther, Mayor of the City of Sioux Falls, do hereby proclaim May 4th, 2017 as Day of Prayer in Sioux Falls, and I commend this observance to all of our citizens. Thank you for what you do. Thank you, Dorothy. You bet. Round of applause, please. Now, if I can get the camera to kind of pan over here, I know we've got a big crowd of folks that are part of this. And is Chris here? Chris Parsky? Chris, would you come forward? And Chris, I can't have you introduce everybody, but at a minimum, they could stand. Is that right?
I think they should all come up and stand with me because we all need to receive this.
Stand there, and then I'll turn, and then we'll all see you, okay? All right. Very good, very good. Chris, quickly, just tell us what this is all about. I see you folks on the bike trail. I see you across town. They're always, folks, these are the ones that are saying to your left or to the left, whatever it would be. So, Chris, who are these folks?
It would be passing on your left, Mr. Mayor. You're welcome. May is officially Bike Month, and we have a lot of things going on as Falls area bicyclists. We have Bike to Work Week coming up in a couple of weeks. We have lots of businesses that have gotten on board to give away coffee and snacks and treats and all kinds of stuff for the whole week. And the whole month we're celebrating bicycles. We're going to be teaching kids how to ride bikes over on the west side of town. We've got rides planned to get ice cream. We've got rides planned on Wednesday nights that might end with a beer when we're done. So we do all kinds of stuff, and we want to celebrate the bike during the month of May.
Thanks, Chris. And it's passing to your left.
Passing on your left.
Passing on your left. All right. Passing on your left. Okay. I've always just said to your left. Sorry, I made a mistake. The proclamation reads, team, whereas the bicycle is an economical, healthy, convenient, and environmentally sound form of transportation and an excellent tool for recreation and enjoyment of our city's scenic beauty. Whereas throughout the month of May, residents of Sioux Falls and our visitors will experience the joys of bicycling through education programs, commuting events, or by simply getting out and going for a ride. Whereas the Sioux Falls Bike Trail System attracts bicyclists each year, providing economic, health, transportation, and certainly tourism benefits. Whereas creating a bicycle-friendly community has been shown to improve citizens' health, well-being, and quality of life, attracting those tourism dollars, improving traffic safety, supporting student learning outcomes, and reducing pollution, congestion, and the wear and tear on our streets and our roads. Whereas Falls area bicyclists, Live Well Sioux Falls, the League of American Bicyclists, and other businesses and community groups will be promoting bicycling through the month of May. Whereas these groups are also promoting greater public awareness, just like you did, of bicycle operation and safety education in an effort to reduce collisions, injuries, and fatalities, and improve health and safety for everyone on the road. Now, therefore, I, Mike Huther, the proud mayor of the City of Sioux Falls, do hereby proclaim May as Bike Month in our city called Sioux Falls, and I urge all residents to join me in the special observance and take the opportunity to get out and ride. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Council, thank you. We'll now move to the consent agenda. Any motions or changes?
Move to approve, Erickson.
Councilor Erickson has made a motion to approve our consent agenda, seconded by Councilor Vice Chair Kiley. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Kiley,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Selberg.
Yes.
Starr.
Yes.
Staley.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That has passed 8-0. Thank you, Council. Our regular agenda, any changes to that?
Move approval, Rolfing.
Second, Erpenbach.
Councilor Chair Rolfing's made a motion to approve our agenda for tonight's meeting, seconded by Councilor Erpenbach. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Kiley.
Yes.
Nitzert.
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Selberg.
Yes.
Starr.
Yes.
Staley.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That has also passed 8-0. Thank you. Folks, welcome. This is an opportunity for you to engage the council on really any topic that's of importance to you. There are some items on the agenda later on that you may want to speak to later. We'd ask you to wait for that, but if there's any other topic that's of interest to you, come forward, just state your name. Please keep your comments to 5 minutes or less, and we'd ask you to address the council as a whole. Anybody interested? Welcome. Good to have you here.
Good evening, Mayor Huther and council members. My name is Thomas Martin. I am a member of Escape Group. Denise asked me to come up here and speak here for our group. I am a chairman of a committee that's responsible for connecting businesses in the community. She did not tell me that I was going to be presenting in front of such a good-looking group of people. So, how you folks doing this evening?
You'll do well, Thomas.
Okay, thank you. So, I'm a part of a group called Escape. I've been a part of this community for about 20 years now. I'm a Chicago native, and in the better half of the last 3 years, I've seen a proliferation in minority businesses in the city. And being that I am a chairman of this committee called Escape, we've decided to put together a social mixer where we're inviting different businesses around the community to come together and to give them the opportunity to promote amongst themselves. This is also an opportunity for the community to come together and to learn what other minority businesses are in town. So what we wanted to do here tonight was just kind of plug the event, also invite each one of you to come check it out. I think it's going to be a really good event. We have food. It's going to be just like a regular chamber mixer, but it's going to be promoted, amongst the minority community here in town. So she put here on your thing here the actual flyer. So it's going to be May 18th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. We've secured about 10 spots right now for businesses. We got about 8 more left that we need to get, but we got Augustana, we got our Allstate Financial, that's who I work for. We also have Mama's Fried, a few other companies here in town as well. So we'd love for all of you to come out to check it out. I think it's be a great opportunity for you guys to connect with us as well, and for us to promote minority businesses in the city. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thomas, thank you very much. Thanks for being here in Sioux Falls, too. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
bet.
Yes, sir.
Folks, anybody else want to engage the council? Welcome.
Make sure that I do the timing right here. Bob Colby, citizen Sioux Falls. It's been a while since I've been here, and I thought that I might give you a couple of observations. I majored in sciences when I was in college, and a couple things that you might keep in mind if you choose to run for a higher political office, even this political office. Things at rest tend to stay at rest. Things in motion tend to stay in motion. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, and energy is neither created or destroyed. This is good political items to keep in mind. Things at rest tend to stay at rest. Things in motion stay in motion. And for every action that you may try to promote, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And energy neither is created or destroyed, and that's a nice way of saying whatever you do may come around to bite you in the backside. Something happened here recently with a gentleman who was catheterized against his will, and it was one of those things that, a different subject matter, so you make the transition. And where does personal liberty begin and end? And it caused me to think, number one, we start with that above our head, the things that we think, our theology, whatever. What are the limits? We can think as we want, but there's no limitation. There's no legal limitation. In theology, in our religion, we have freedom of religion, but there are certain things you can't do, child sacrifice, etc. But we do have pretty much a wide open area in what we do as thoughts and what we do as far as religion. What we see. We can look at what most anything we want. Some things are limited. The police department does have a unit to try to get to people who are looking at things that they shouldn't be looking at. We won't go into that area. What do we hear? We can listen to pretty near everything we want. But the limitations that sometimes are put forth are those that are what have been commonly called brainwashing, because we have people out there proposing certain ideology that we can listen to, but we have to be able to make judgments on whether it is viable and worthwhile. We have freedom of speech. Yes, no, I'm going from the top to bottom. We have freedom of speech. We can say most anything, but we do have limitations on that. What are the limitations of our personal freedom and our personal liberties? We can't yell fire in a crowded theater. With our heart, we can love pretty much anybody we want, but there were times when the laws would say and limit us to what and who we could love. We have more recently repealed those laws that would say you couldn't have interracial relationships or that you couldn't have same gender relationships. We can eat pretty much what we want, unless, of course, it might be LSD or something of that nature. And there are inordinate numbers of laws that deal with our personal plumbing. And we can, without elaborating, we can choose to neuter ourselves, but it wasn't all that long ago where the state of South Dakota had laws against for sterilization of certain people in our state. We have age restrictions on people we can love or choose to love. We have laws that say you can't force your love upon someone. When it comes to medical choice, this is one that came up here recently when we talked about the blood draw. Having had at one time a bladder infection, catheterization is a godsend, but if you have things of that nature being forced upon you, is that in lieu of or like unto rape? We have things that we dictate by the law that we do because of the law, because of politics, and because of religion. Whatever you choose to do as far as mandating something that is an invasion of someone else's personal privacy, you might keep this in mind. Think what is good for your mother when you do that sort of thing, because we have to balance what we choose and have as our own personal protection as opposed to what we put upon someone else because of our politics.
Mr. Colby, thank you so much, sir.
Religion, and because of our personal feelings.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bad, thank you. Folks, anybody else want to engage the council?
Scott Harrisman, Sioux Falls. I was watching the informational meeting today in regards to the parking ramp, and I've seen the council being presented many things from department heads and departments from the city, and I've seen the council make wise decisions. The parking ramp presentations and some of the feelings of the councilors have baffled me on this. And today's presentation was another example of that. First thing I don't understand is, why would we spend $18 million on a parking ramp for 190 to 240 spaces when the airport is proposing to build 1,100 parking ramp for 23 million? Why are we going in business with somebody? Why don't we just build the parking ramp ourselves? That's the one thing I saw about it. The other thing is why do we have to use the second penny for collateral? Why can't we use the other parking ramps as collateral? Doesn't make any sense to me to be using another department as collateral when we can use the parking department as collateral. Another thing I saw was we were reassured by the city attorney and the community development director that no city employee or elected official was investing in the parking ramp. But then when a counselor asked if the director knew who the investors were, he said he did not know. Well, that's kind of confusing. If you know that no one from the city is investing in the project, don't you know who's the investors? You can't say that someone's not investing in something if you don't know who the investors are. I found that to be another thing that why would we agree to this? The last thing is we had a construction company that was in ties with the development company that has received $200,000 in fines for many things. Now, while the development company legacy may not have to pay any fines, civil suits are going to come from this. And civil suits, as I understand it, when somebody's suing for wrongful death, they don't sue just one person. They're not going to just sue Holgren Construction. They're going to sue everyone who touched it and is involved with that. Do we want to go in business with someone like that? So it really comes back down to the basic thing that one of the counselors said, why don't we just build the parking ramp on our own and leave it at that? Another thing I saw over the past couple of weeks that I found interesting was we've been doing a lot of bragging about how we've been live streaming the annex meetings and recording them and the redistricting meetings and how this is the most unbelievable, amazing thing that we're doing, all this great transparency all of a sudden in the city. And it is. I think it's wonderful that we're recording it. But just about less than a month ago, we could not allow the Parks Board or REMSA to be recorded because these board members would run away. They couldn't get in front of a camera. They'd melt like ice. But for some reason, everyone on the Annex Board and on the redistricting board doesn't seem to have a problem. None of them ran away or said, I can't do this job because of it. So which is it? Which is it? Are we going to be transparent about all the meetings or just some of them? I think it's time that the city come back and require REMSA and the Park Board to be recorded. and I think you should push hard on it and get it done. Thank you.
Folks, did anybody else want to engage the council? Welcome, sir.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
My name's Adam Yagaloff. I'm a resident here in Sioux Falls, and I'm an attorney in town. I'd like to talk briefly with you all tonight about an incident that happened about 2 weekends ago at the Union Gospel Mission, where the Union Gospel Mission trespassed a woman who was transgender, and they called the police, and now she's banned from going there. I'd like to make 2 points, if I may. The first point I'd like to make is that when I've been reading the newspaper articles and I've been going down to the gospel, and the few people that seem to support the Union Gospel and their efforts to not allow transgender people there, they point to the fact that this is a private organization. And they say, because this is a private organization, we have the ability to trespass people from this property, especially if they're not protected under law. The problem I see is that the City of Sioux Falls, for whatever reason, has decided that it's going to, its obligations to its people in town that need a place to stay and that need food, it's going to be given to these private organizations in town. It's going to be, we're going to allow the Union Gospel and these other organizations to do our feeding of our homeless people for us in Sioux Falls. And so I think the problem is that because we're in effect outsourcing our homeless shelters and our soup kitchens, I believe that the City of Sioux Falls and this town city council has an obligation to make sure that everyone in the city, regardless of their sexuality or their gender or their anything like that, has a good place to eat. So I do think that this is not only a private issue, this is an issue for the city council and for the members of this town. One other thing I'd like to say about that point is that I have gone down there in the past few days, and what I've heard from people that eat at the Union Gospel Mission is that it's not only transgender people that are not being allowed to eat there. I've been hearing that people with disabilities haven't been allowed to eat there because the Union Gospel has been telling them that they don't want to accept the liability. I've also been hearing stories that people are trespassed from the Union Gospel for very minor things. They're trespassed for complaining about rules, they're trespassed for sometimes not cleaning up after themselves or something, and they're trespassed for life. So this is a problem. So I do think that the City of Sioux Falls has a role to play here, and I would ask that the City Council have a conversation with the Union Gospel Mission. That's my first point. My second point is that I'm from Connecticut. I came out here about 5 months ago for my work. And as I'm coming out here, it's a long ways away, and it's hard to make a move that far, and it's hard on my family, and it's hard on my friends. But what I noticed was that what made it a lot easier was the fact that Sioux Falls has a reputation around the country for being a very welcoming place. It has a reputation of being a nice place to start a career and to start a family. And so one thing that made it a lot easier for my family and my friends was that when they Googled Sioux Falls, when they talked to people that have stayed here, they realized that it's a good place to send their kids and to send other people. And I would just say I would hate to see the actions of a few people in this town start to tarnish that reputation. So along with my first point that I think that the City Council has a role to play here in talking to the Union Gospel Mission, I also think that the City Council has a role to play because I think that the City Council has a reputation to maintain. So I would ask the people in this community to have a conversation with them. Thank you very much.
And thank you as well, and welcome to Sioux Falls. Thank you. Welcome.
Sierra Broussard, Sioux Falls. I'm going to squash this Union Gospel here. As y'all recall, I've been with Fran to make the record straight because we was on a recorded phone line with Fran. 2 years I've dealt with him. He does not have to take in the LGBT community at all. He does not get federal fundings or grant money. When I walked in the Union Gospel 2 years ago, he did not let any LGBT people walk in there. He let LGBT people walking in there when I started training him to break down his Christianity barriers here. What we had that took place at the Union Gospel was drama queens on a Jerry Springer show here. Okay? You don't go and interrupt church services and make the people accept you for who you are. They know that the Union Gospel has their own beliefs, okay? So if there's fire and you see fire, you go by it, you're going to get burned. The same thing with this adoption for the gay people that San Francisco's doing also, that is a bunch of baloney here. These activists and these advocates of the transgender community here need to get educated. They do not have to, and I'm going to speak up for Fran myself here.
Sierra, you can just speak. You're fine. You're
So
doing good.
Union Gospel here has every right, and for Fran to sit here and break down his beliefs and let the LGBT community come in there, and he has taken people that I've brought in the LGBT community off the street for prostitution and drugs. It's all about respecting yourself, not going to the Union Gospel for tricks and trades here, okay? So whatever happened at the Union Gospel was a lot of behavior problems for the last 7 years on this issue. I do not believe in religion, but I do respect everybody's thoughts and views on things here, okay? It took me a lot of integrity and power to walk into Union Gospel and talk with him for 2 years on this issue. Now, having said this, he will still let LGBT people on a case-to-base walk in there and use the services here. You use the services as provided in a legal manner. When you go there and use the services illegal, you're going to get the police called on you. So the transgender community here, I'm upset with the transgender community. It is a disgrace here with the transgender community. They need to come together and get educated, and they need to stop putting themselves in a position to have homicides occur. We had one homicide occur from a transgender from stupidiness. We don't need another one. Thank you.
Folks, did anybody else want to engage the council? David?
Greetings. I've got a nice, happy presentation tonight. My name is David Zokaitis, and it's Bike Month. So I've got something about bikes. All right, well, as most of us know, a lot of great benefits to riding your bike. It's a good way to get from one spot to another. And on the bike trail, hey, it's really pretty. We can enjoy nature, we can enjoy beauty, we can get some exercise, some health, some vitality. And people that get some exercise and see beauty, they tend to be happier and more peaceful. And we certainly need a lot of that. Now, the bike trail, there are some issues there. A couple of years ago, I was riding down by the spillway, and there's this four-way intersection there with some gravelly road. And they had stop signs on the bike trail, but not on the gravel road. Well, people on bikes just never stopped, and so I thought that was kind of unsafe, and I worked with Parks and Rec, and we turned that into a four-way stop sign. I thought that was good. Now, the mayor and the team are straightening up some bumpy part of the bike trail, and that's pretty nice, but I noticed the bike trail kind of closes at 10 o'clock. You know, the parks officially close at 10 o'clock, and that would include the bike trail, so if you need to ride your bike at night, you're back on the roads. And there's a few spots where the bends are not marked very well. There's a spot kind of by the river where the road takes a sharp left, and if you keep going straight, you hit a bunch of rocks, and that would not be good. So we need a better sign there. But more bike trail would be better. No doubt about that. Now, I'm running for mayor, and I've got this campaign flyer, and I've got some plans, and it's not quite in this section, but a little bit lower, and I'm planning to make the bike trail a little bit bigger, adding as many connections as we can. It'll be great. More is better. And it's a short, happy little presentation tonight, like I said a little while ago, and we should all try to have a good evening and enjoy nature when we can. Like this picture here is on the bike trail. It's one of my favorite spots on the bike trail. And enjoy nature and smile. And with that, good evening.
Good evening to you, David. Stenga, welcome.
Tim Stenga. Last meeting I talked about potholes. I couldn't stay for the whole meeting, so I left, but yet Bruce got a phone number for the pothole hotline for me. that's not really what I addressed, and that's not really what I tried to come up with. But the potholes that I was following the city driver on still aren't fixed. But yet, you can come out of the city garage, come down Cliff Avenue, maybe 1 block or a block and a half, and there's potholes galore. These people drive out on Cliff Avenue every single day. They might even drive 10 times a day on that street. Is it the citizens that should be turning in the potholes on Cliff Avenue? Or do you think the city would take care of them? 90% of city vehicles have a passenger and a driver. When you watch it, the driver's driving, the passenger's either got his eyes shut or he's on his cell phone. If I was mayor, there would be no cell phones in vehicles. You would be doing your job as city employees. 2, you wouldn't be smoking on the job. If you want to go in a park and water a tree and you sit there and smoke, not good for me if I was mayor. Again, I interact that you got 2 people in a truck, give the other guy a voice recorder, let us know where the potholes are at, and give it to whoever does potholes and have them go fix them. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate that.
Bruce Danielson. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I was just out in the outer room here and I asked a question about, I was making a request for REMSA board recordings. I know I've seen at a meeting that I was at baby monitors, so I figured there was a recording done, so I asked for it. And apparently we don't record the REMSA board meetings. A board that has an impact on every one of our lives in this town, and we don't even find it necessary to do any kind of recordings of all the important decisions that they make for our well-being. And so it goes back to the problem that we keep having with this administration with transparency. It goes also back to going out on the YouTube channel and finding out that more and more of the YouTube videos are gone. They're just gone. We want to do research. We want to check on our city's history. It's gone. There's no reason on God's green earth that we should be missing YouTube videos. The YouTube and Google will keep them forever and keep them posted. Some of the worst videos ever are some of the first videos that were up on YouTube, and they're still out there. There's no reason for any of the city's videos to be missing from YouTube. I went and checked on one today. All I can see is video deleted. And that's an important video, and now it's gone. So as things change in this administration, all of a sudden YouTube videos are missing. That's a big deal. So at a time when we want more public scrutiny of what's going on in city government, and we're bringing more people to city government, we tell them to go out and check the city's YouTube channel, and they can't find it. I've probably had 6 or 7 requests this week alone from news media alone to find out if I have recorded different videos or if I have downloaded and saved. And I've been going through them. I've so far have 400 videos up online in the last couple of years that I've done. And I have a lot more that I'm getting ready to put up as soon as I have more time. So at a time with the public scrutiny, this administration is destroying our history, or is it evidence? Thank you.
Folks, did anybody else want to engage the council? Very good. Thank you. Councilors, let's move on to item 33.
Item 33 is a special one-day wine license for Siouxland Heritage Museums to be operated at Pettigrew Home and Museum, 131 North Duluth Avenue for History Happy Hour on May 25th, 2017. Item 34 is a special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine licenses for Sioux Empire Staters Alumni Association of South Dakota State University to be operated at Sioux Falls Design Center, 108 West 11th Street for a fundraiser on May 26, 2017.
David?
Mayor, filling in for Jamie tonight. Items 33 and 34 are special one-day permit requests that meet all the statutory requirements.
David, thank you. Councilors?
Move to approve, Erpenbach.
Second, Kylie.
Councilor Brock's made a motion to approve these two items, seconded by Councilor Vice Chair Kiley. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Kiley,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Selberg,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Staley,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Thank you. Item 35.
Item 35 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 2930 North Highland Avenue from the RD1 Twin Home Duplex Residential Suburban District to the I1 Light Industrial District, petition number 6379, 2017, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 6-0.
Jason Bieber representing Planning and Building Services. We do have a request from the applicant to withdraw the item number 35.
Thank you, Jason.
Mr. Mayor, I'd move to withdraw. Jeez, I can't talk.
Thank you,
Withdraw.
Councilor Chair. Appreciate it.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Nitzert. Thank you. There's been a motion to withdraw this item. It has been seconded. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Kiley,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Selberg,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Staley,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Thank you, Councilors. Item 36.
Item 36 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located at the southwest corner of South Kenton Avenue and West Bitterroot Street from the RT1 Single Family Residential Traditional District to the RS Single Family Residential Suburban District, petition number 6445, 2017, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 6-0.
The applicant and owner here is Van Buskirk Companies. It is roughly 3 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is they continue to develop these lots for single family. They're developing larger, more suburban lots than the existing traditional lots that the properties are zoned. So they're just trying to keep it consistent.
Jason, thank you, folks. This is a second reading. Did anybody want to engage the council on this topic? Very good, councilors.
Move approval, Rolfing.
Second, Staley?
Has been a motion to approve. It has been seconded by Councilor Staley. Thank you. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Kiley,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Selberg,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Staley,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Item 37.
Item 37 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 6000 East 33rd Street from the AG Agricultural District to the RS Single Family Residential Suburban District, petition number 6458, 2017, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 6-0.
The applicant here is the City of Sioux Falls Planning Department. The owner is the Prairie Hills Covenant Church. This is roughly 11.6 acres in size. As you can see, there's an existing church on the property. The purpose of this is to rezone this recently annexed piece that was annexed into the city and get it to the zoning district that matches the current use of the property.
Thanks, Jason. Again, a second reading, folks. Anybody want to engage the council? Councilors?
Move to approve.
Second, Selberg.
Councilor Vice Chair has made a motion to approve this item, seconded by Councilor Selberg. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Kiley,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Selberg,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Staley,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Item 38.
Item 38 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 4101 South Klein Avenue from the AG Agricultural District to the RS Single Family Residential Suburban District, petition number 6459, 2017, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 6-0.
This is a similar request to the item you just heard. This is the application by the City of Sioux Falls Planning Office. The owner is Ricky McKinney. It's roughly 2.27 acres in size. As you can see, there's an existing single-family home on it. And the purpose of this rezoning is to zone this recently annexed piece that was recently annexed into the city and get it to the single-family use that's currently on the lot.
Thank you, Jason. Did anybody want to speak to this item? Councilors?
Move approval, Rolfing.
Second, Kylie.
Been a motion to approve this item and has been seconded. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Kiley,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Rolfing,
Yes.
Selberg,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Item 39.
Item 39 is a second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located south of East 85th Street and east of South Minnesota Avenue from the AG Agricultural District to the C4 Commercial Regional District. Petition number 6476, 2017, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 6-0.
The applicant and owner here is also Van Buskirk's company. It's located south Minnesota Avenue and then south of West 85th Street, just southeast of the new Walmart. It's roughly 2.45 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is just to include this portion that was annexed in as agricultural into the existing commercial development to the north and east.
Thank you, Jason. Did anybody in the audience want to speak to this? Councilors?
Move to approve Nitzert.
Second, Erpenbach.
Councilor Nitzert's made a motion to approve this item, second by Councilor Erpenbach. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Kiley?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Thank you, Council. Item 40.
Item 40 is a second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located north of East 26th Street and west of South Cleveland Avenue from the LW Live Work and RS Single Family Residential Suburban Districts to the RD2 Townhome Residential Suburban and CN Conservation Districts, petition number 6357, 2017, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 6-0.
The applicant and owner here is Vince McCormick. As Tamara indicated, it's located north of East 26th Street and west of South Cleveland Avenue. It's roughly 3.3 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is the applicant is looking at constructing roughly 10 single-family lots and then 11 townhome residential lots as you get more adjacent to South Cleveland Avenue.
Jason, thank you. Anybody want to speak to this item? Thank you. Councilors?
Move
To approve, Staley?
There's been a motion approved by Councilor Vice Chair Kiley, but seconded by Councilor Staley. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Kiley?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Let us pass 8-0. Item 41.
Item 41 is a second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the Code of Ordinances of the city by amending Chapter 92, Health and Sanitation, to restrict smoking on city property.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilor Erickson.
Thank you. I have a brief presentation that I just want to walk through. I know I did most of this last week, but since last week, or a couple weeks ago, I guess, since we didn't have a meeting last week, there's been a couple questions as far as from constituents saying, I'm not a smoker, how does this impact me? Or I am a smoker, how does this impact me? So with the help and collaboration of the Health Department and the Parks Department, there's a couple different slides in here that I want to walk through to show what was and what is now. That breaks it down a little bit different than just looking at it as an ordinance. Before I do that, I want to talk about kind of how we got here as well. The council passed an ordinance codifying what was the park board policy in December. We created that framework to be able to have the conversation to expand upon what each of us could live with, for lack of better words. This ordinance in front of you is, like I've said before, bits and pieces of each counselor. It's been in true collaboration with the administration as well as the council. It has been heard in front of the Parks Department, or excuse me, Parks Board. They did consider it, as well as Public Service Committee, working sessions for the City Council, and Parks and Health Departments and additional boards. So I'm going to just kind of fly through some of the what this means to me. On the city-owned facility, city-owned buildings, there will be a friendly amendment this evening to increase the 20 feet to 25 feet to allow to be in line with LEED certification. This was important that we work so hard for our buildings to be LEED certified, and so we want to be mindful of that decision so we can still enjoy the benefits of being LEED certified. The downtown and bus depot and the Southwest Transfer Station, smoking will be prohibited at any ticket, boarding, and waiting areas of the downtown bus depot and transfer station on Louise. We also discussed the lease facilities. As you know, we've discussed the Premier Center, golf courses, anything that we ask the experts to run on our behalf. And you will see in there as well that those changes for the Premier Center is the ring road is kind of the area in which you cannot smoke. in between. There are designated areas for the hotel as well as the Premier Center to allow employees or others to be able to smoke. The big area that we did change is, another area that we changed was city-owned parks and facilities. What does this mean? It wasn't just about if you were there for a youth activity, but also if you were an attendee. And so that was expanded to include the McKinnon Park bandshell area. They oftentimes in the summer have plays and family nights in the parks, and so those would be included as well as being smoke-free events, tobacco-free events, excuse me, for anywhere the activities or the attendees are youth. And a lot of that, as we discussed, as the council discussed, we identified really two common goals of protecting the youth, those that cannot choose for themselves, as well as protecting large masses of people where they congregate. So this would be entrances, this would be events in the park. So the other change that you'll see with the park is any permitted events with the Parks Department will be deemed smoke-free, tobacco-free, smoke-free, unless you have a designated smoking area. So, for example, this could simply be the parking lots, or with collaboration of Director Kearney, they could deem an area that is outside of the masses, not, for example, I know we've talked a lot about Jazz Fest, so obviously it wouldn't be in the middle of where everyone's sitting enjoying the concert. It would be somewhere away from any of the youth bouncy houses or other areas that would have the least impact to others. We all know that tobacco is completely legal thing. I choose to not do it, but we wanted to be mindful of those that do choose it, that you have an area to go if you need to, but also protecting the rights of those that choose to not smoke. Those were the big key things. There is not a fine in this, as we've discussed, but there is an ejection clause, meaning if you are smoking and violating anywhere in the ordinance, you'll be asked to leave. There are other tools in the toolbox that the police department has, but we're hoping people just comply with this. This ordinance would not be successful without the help of the health department, and I'd be remiss to not recognize them, and I'm sure you'll hear from them. But it will be key to having the Parks Department and the Health Department educate the public on this. Without them, this would not be successful. And so we've asked them to continue to study this. We've asked them to continue to come back to us and give us additional information. What's working, what's not working. This ordinance will come into play when the weather's starting to be nice and people are outside more. And so we've asked them to continue to come to us and have those communications with us. So with that, I will turn it over to the public for any comments, and happy to answer any questions, and hope that you support this proposal.
Councilor, great job. Did anybody want to speak to this item?
Sierra Broussard, Sioux Falls. I do not support it. The reason why is Sioux Falls PD, and I'm going to bring up the crime here, they're going from call to call to call, and stress volume is high here. Okay? So if they're asked to leave and they don't leave, who gets called? The police. So they have to come with this issue. People, get real, seriously. When I heard on KSFY about that child with the asthma like to die, as a medical assistant for 7 years that I am, you can get asthma and catch asthma because of the trees or the pollens here. At Jazz Fest, you smell smoke, you smell dope, you smell people rolling blunts and smoking dope out there. I was at Jazz Fest last year. So let's ban that too. This is gonna be, we don't need a dictatorship city here. This is getting like Putin and all them other countries. This is what this is getting us. We have a dictator and the leaders are coming in city government. This is too overboarding here for this.
Sierra, you're done.
That's what I thought.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Huther.
Thank you.
Members of the council, thank you. My name is Jim Keller. I serve on the Board of Health. I also serve on the governing board of Sioux Falls, Falls Community Health. The mission of the Board of Health, in part, is to improve the quality of life in Sioux Falls by preventing or controlling disease and by mitigating adverse health conditions or threats.
smoking is an adverse threat. As a parent, as a grandparent, as a school teacher, I always told people not to smoke. And I'm sure that you did the same thing. And I saw so many people, as parents, fall into the trap of do as I say, not as I do. And I hope that we don't do that as a city. We know that all of you fully understand the health impacts of tobacco use, as we've had many discussions over the last several months. So on behalf of the Board of Health, first of all, I want to thank you for your continued efforts along with the Health and the Parks Departments to take additional steps to protect residents and visitors of all ages from exposure to secondhand smoke. Any step forward that we take to reduce tobacco use in our community will contribute to better health and a higher quality of life for our residents. As stewards of our community's health and well-being, please vote for this ordinance. Thank you very much.
Thank you as well. Welcome. Welcome.
My name is Hannah, Sioux Falls. I want to start off by saying thank you for choosing to reconsider banning smoking in more places. When I go out to play with my sisters, I want clean air to breathe in. It's not just me I'm thinking of. It is also adults and family members. I know from my Genius Hour project I did today that this affects everybody. This will help to make the outside air cleaner and safer, yet respects everybody. I'm excited that with this compromise, I could go to Jazz Fest with my family and dance my moves without having an asthma attack. That would be wonderful. Listening to you discuss this and talking to you about it has helped me see how I can change the world. You are doing good work, and I'm glad that we can practice teamwork together. Thank you from my whole family for your time and all you do for our city.
Well, Hannah, I want to thank you for being professional, respectful, and productive. Thank you. Welcome, David.
Greetings. I'm David Zokaitis, and I'm not going to comment on civil rights or tobacco because there's plenty of other people doing that. Instead, I'm going to advocate simplicity and clarity. There's this one section here, let's see if I can read the small font. City golf course, smoke-free unless in the parking lot or during the course of play. In parentheses, after the first tee and before the final green of any 9 holes of plays, such as after T1 and before green number 9. I think that is excessively complicated and a little hard to interpret. If you replace that terminology with wild on the golf course, life would be a little bit simpler. Now, if you have to read this a couple of times to try to figure out what it really says. So after the first tee, that means if you're lighting up on the first tee, you're out of bounds. You have to walk off the tee, then you can light up, and it's before the 9th green. Okay, so you have to put out your cigarette before that 9th green, but that's only for 9 holes of play. What happens on an 18-hole golf course? It's kind of undefined. So rather than, well, you know, it'd be between hole 9 and 10. Anyway, so rather than having to deal with all those complexities, I think it would be a lot better just to write wild on the golf course. And that's my recommendation for the night.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Folks, anybody else want to engage the council? Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Mark Steinborn. I'm from the Sioux Falls Park and Recreation Board. The Park and Recreation Board is proud that we implemented the first tobacco policy around youth recreation in 2013, and that policy has enjoyed great success. Since that time, we have been supportive of conversations to take additional steps to reduce exposure to tobacco, creating healthier recreational environments, promoting positive role modeling for youth, and protecting the environment. We appreciate the work of this council and the great job they did coming up with this proposal over the last few months to explore additional ways to reduce secondhand smoke exposure, tobacco use, and we hope that you will continue to advance policies that further reduce tobacco use in our community. It is our responsibility to provide a safe and healthy environment for all citizens, including the 80% of the public who do not use tobacco products. We urge your support of this ordinance.
Mark, thank you, and thanks for your service, too. We appreciate it. Welcome.
Hi, Stacy McMahon.
Hi, Stacy.
Just a couple of things on the LEED certification, because it was mentioned. LEED certification represents the best practices in design and construction. It's important here from the standpoint of ensuring that city projects are energy efficient, cost efficient, sustainable, and are healthy buildings to work within and visit. And then just a further example that when possible, all state-owned projects are required to be LEED Silver at a minimum.
Thank you. Thanks, Stacy. Thank you. Appreciate it. Ms. Stenga, welcome.
Tim Stenga. You know, it's good to see that the city council can work together on one issue. It's sort of a measly issue because really and truthfully, I don't really hear anybody really complaining about it. I've got a feeling that it came from the mayor's office, and then it's put in your guys' lap, and then you guys got to make a decision on a watered-down plan and what it really was. I guess what I'm looking at is any issue that comes in front of the city council from now on, that we take 4 to 5 months to make a decision. When it comes to the parking ramp, let's spend 4 to 5 months on making a decision on whether or not we should partnership with somebody and find out all the facts and who's behind everything. All the crime that's going on in Sioux Falls. Let's spend 4 to 5 months as a city council to see why we have the crime, how can we deal with the crime, and then come up with a solution. We have a drug problem in Sioux Falls. Let's spend 4 to 5 months as a council to sit down and talk about the drug problem and be able to come up with solutions on trying to curb the drug problem. We have prostitution in Sioux Falls. Let's spend 4 to 5 months on prostitution and try to see why people prostitute themselves. We can go on and on. But if we can spend 4 to 5 months on this issue, and it's minuscule, I don't smoke. I know a lot of people that do, and they walk away from me when they light up a cigarette because that's just the way they are, and most people are that way. So I'm hoping that next issue that comes up that might be minuscule, let's spend 4 to 5 months on it.
Folks, did anybody else want to engage the council on this topic? Welcome. Good to have you here, son.
Hello, John Gillens.
Hi, John. Welcome.
I go to Lincoln High School, and about tobacco use on city property, I've noticed that at my school, oftentimes older siblings or parents waiting to pick up their children will, light up outside of their car and sit there, and I don't see any tobacco, stuff stopping it from being enforced. We have on-site police, but nobody's been doing anything about it. I also I help out at Lowell Elementary sometimes with Cub Scouts, and around the block with the school there is cigarette stubs littered around the sidewalks. And I don't know if there should be a cleanup project or maybe something to make sure that people aren't leaving cigarettes out where kids walk home.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like the new legislation.
Thank you. Great comments. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. Well, folks, thank you very much for your comments. We appreciate it. Any others before I go to the council? Very good. Councilor Erickson, I'm going to go back to you. Or I'll go to the, maybe, you know what, maybe I'll go to the other council members. Other council members before I go back to Councilor Erickson? Councilor Nysert.
I just want to make sure to clarify something. I had a citizen contact me who was, I think that what they took from a news story, and I didn't see the news story, so I don't know how it was framed, was that there was going to be a we were creating a smoking permit, and I just want to be clear, and Director Kearney could clarify if need be. you already have to get a permit for an organized event. This would just add, it's just another item that would be on the checklist that you would have to show either I'm going to be smoke-free or here is my designated area. We're not creating a smoking permit. You already have to get a permit for these events.
That's a very good explanation that you just provided. We'll just add it to our application for special events, and that'll be a box you'll have to check if you'd like to have a special designated smoking area, and then we will review that and determine whether it meets the guidelines of the ordinance.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clear up that confusion, and I just want, if I could also just, I just wanted to say for myself, I'm sensitive to the criticism, but it's really a reasonable balance between both sides on this issue, and that's why I'm going to support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Jill, would you mind addressing John's comment about the schools and explaining the difference between a public school and city property? Would you be willing to do that? Because I do think you brought up a really valid point, and I think Jill will help explain the difference, John.
Sure. Jill Franken, Public Health Director with the City of Sioux Falls. And this ordinance that we have worked on collaboratively with Councilor Erickson, who has been working with all of you, this is very specifically talking about city-owned property. The school district owns property, but this is city-owned property, not dealing with any other property that may be privately owned by residents of our community or the school district. Now, that doesn't mean we can't take John's comments and have a conversation with the Sioux Falls School District, which I'm quite sure we will, just to let them know about those comments and see if we can collaborate with the work that's being done to try and, you know, be within the guidelines and policies of the district. But that's the difference between the two. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. Councilor Erickson, you've done so much work on this. Any final thoughts?
I just want to make one clarifying moment. I know the comment, the golf was brought up. This is really after the first tee, before the final green of any 9 holes. So this does include 18 holes of golf. I'm not a big golfer myself, but as it zigzags back and forth, that protects the clubhouse and where people congregate. And so it does cover that. It may seem complicated. If you don't smoke, you don't have to worry about it. If you do smoke and you're going to any city-owned property, it is your responsibility to know the rules of what is allowed and what is not allowed. And so it really allowed that flexibility to allow people to smoke a cigar or cigarette if they choose to out in the course of play. But really protect the clubhouse and also protect when first tee is taking place. There's a lot of youth, and so those times will be protected as well anytime that there's additional youth around. So just want to clarify that moment and hope that you support this. And thank each and every one of you for your input because I know, like I said, it challenged some of you that it didn't go far enough, and it challenged some of us that it went just a little bit out of our comfort zones, and that's a good compromise. So I thank you for all your collaboration with this and hope that you support it.
With that in mind, Councilor Erickson, would you mind making a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
And second.
It's seconded by Councilor Chair Rolfing. Thank you. Is there any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Starr?
I would move to amend Section 2, subsection H by replacing 20 feet with 25 feet.
Second, Erpenbach.
Councilor Starr has made a motion to amend Section 2, subsection H by replacing it with 20 feet with 25 feet, and that was seconded by Councilor Erpenbach. Any discussion, Councilor Starr?
Just quickly, it was brought up and mentioned earlier that this is an amendment to meet LEED certification and the importance of the environment and well-built buildings as we as a city lead in that process.
Good job, thank you. We're now going to vote on the amendment. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Kiley?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach? Yes.
That has passed 8-0. Any other comments on this?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Starr?
Yes, I just want to say thank you to a few partners and a few groups that have been a big part of this as we've gone through the process. We have partners that are going to be paying for all of the signage as we inform citizens and visitors to our city how to use and what our policies are, so that'll be no cost to the city. We also have a lot of people have been, it's been an interesting process, and I wanted to make sure that we thank them. I want to make sure that I thank Hannah for her appearance here tonight, but she's been a big part of this process, and the thing that I want to remind citizens is being involved in the process. Whether you agree or disagree with how we move forward, the old comment, and you'll learn this as you go through school, that lawmaking is a lot like making sausage. You don't necessarily want to watch the process and see what goes into the sausage, but you enjoy the product when it's done. So I know you were very disappointed the first time around, and you stuck to it, we stuck to it, and found something that we can do to minimize the effects of smoking to the public and move forward with those things. So thank you.
You're welcome. We are voting on the amended motion. A roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
This mayor is so dang proud to announce that this has passed unanimously 8-0, and this mayor wants to thank the council for their work, along with the other stewards that made this happen. Councilor Erickson, I truly had fully intended to sign this right here, but I don't have a good pen, and I want to.
There you go.
No, I want a good one. I've got a good pen.
I have, actually, I saved this pen from when I was a legislator, and the very first bill I ever had
Can I
was
si-
used by
I'll
Governor
sign it.
Dugard, if you want to.
Well, I'll sign it right here. And again, I just can't thank you enough for the work that you've done. On behalf of the City of Sioux Falls, I'm going to sign this great ordinance. I thank you. Item 42.
Item 42 is deferred from the City Council meeting on Tuesday, April 4th, 2017, a resolution including certain contiguous territory within the corporate limits of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, annexation 6217, 2017 Willow Ridge, East Madison Street, and 6 Mile Road.
Jason Bieber again, representing Planning and Building Services. This is a petitioned annexation by Steve Van Buskirk, representing Van Buskirk's company. It is located south of East Madison Street and east of North 6 Mile Road. It's roughly 110 acres in size, and the purpose of this annexation is the applicant is looking to construct a single-family residential development with roughly 298 lots. The subject property is indicated as future residential in our 2040 future land use comprehensive plan, and has also been identified in our future growth area since around 2009. We've been kind of planning for some growth out here. The area this is the annexation area up here. As you can see, the areas that are not shaded with color, those are areas that are currently outside of city limits. So we wanted to indicate that this will not create any additional pockets within the City of Sioux Falls. This area in blue on the future land use map, this is a rough outline of the east side sanitary sewer area, which was constructed in 2007 to serve projected growth within the east and southeast portions outside of the city limits. The proposed annexation area is located within this east side sanitary sewer area, and the cost recovery of this was approved by the City Council back in 2009. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Jason, thank you. Appreciate that. Did anybody want to address the council on this topic? Councilors?
Move approval, Rolfing.
Second, Kylie.
Been a motion to approve this item, and it has been seconded. A roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Erickson? Erpenbach?
Yes.
That has passed 8-0. Item 43.
Item 43 is a resolution of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, approving the preliminary plan of Smart Homes Addition. Planning Commission recommends approval, 6-0.
This map may look a little familiar. This is the preliminary subdivision plan that went along with item number 40, the rezoning. This is Vince McCormick's development here on 26th and Cliff. And as we had indicated before, he's looking at constructing about 10 single-family lots and also 11 townhome lots as you get closer to South Cleveland Avenue.
Thank you, Jason. Did anybody want to speak to this item in the audience? Councilors?
Move to approve Nitzert.
Second, Salberg.
Councilor Neitzer, thank you. Councilor Selberg, thank you as well. A roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Erickson? Erpenbach?
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Thank you, Council. Item 44.
Item 44 is a report of the April 27, 2017 Notice of Transfer of Appropriations within Major Organizational Units.
Thank you very much. Before the meeting started, Tamara said, Mayor, this meeting's going to end at 8:15.
Did.
Look at the time. It is 8:15, Sioux Falls. Let's go buy some tickets or something. But nice job.
Did it cost you $1?
No, it was
Oh.
fantastic. Councilors, any other comments?
Move to adjourn.
Thank you, Councilor.
Second.
It has been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting's adjourned, Sioux Falls. Make it a great, great night.
Done.